I always love the view of the mountain from this angle. I think what you have to be careful of is falling into the trap of trying too hard. Some of them are just absolutely wonderful with the shapes, they're all twisted. I actually think that looks quite nice. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. So the last time I was up in the mountains, in my last video actually, I took the decision to come up and be up here around about sunset. And that was good from a light point of view, but did mean I had to rush a bit. Today I've decided to come up in the middle of the afternoon, which means I've got a lot more time, but does mean the light's probably not going to be great. Now, having said that, we've got lots and lots of cloud around, and I'm hoping it doesn't rain. I almost came up here yesterday afternoon, and I'm very glad I didn't, because at about the point that I'm at now on the hike is where I would have been this time yesterday if I'd come out, and this is what happened. So basically what I'm doing is the circular hike that I talked about in the previous video. I think it's about 3.5 miles in total, and I've been hiking along now for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes along the lower trail, just taking my time, enjoying the scenery. Because we've got quite a bit of cloud, it's reasonably cool. Nevertheless, I've got plenty of water with me, got my hydration bladder in with a couple of litres of water, which is probably more than I need for this hike. But nevertheless, I'd always rather have a little bit more than a little bit not enough. The plan is to carry on along this bottom trail and then maybe just dart off into a couple of the little woodland areas along here before climbing back up. It's not a massively steep hill, but it goes on for quite a long time to bring me up basically onto the trail that I did the last time I was up here, and then walk back along that trail. And along the way I'll see what I can photograph. So I've just come off of the trail. I'm not far off, but into an area that's a bit more wooded. And behind me, there's this tree. And it's one of the bigger and more imposing trees that we've got, because most of the trees are actually quite small. And I've often thought there should be an image that I could make with that tree, but I've never managed to find it. Because there's just so much else going on around it, no matter how I try to position myself, because there's limited options, because there's pretty much a sheer drop off over there down to it. There's no way you could get down to it safely. But I just can't actually figure out how to make an image of it, which is a shame. If there's a bit more space around it, maybe. Okay, I've explored this section of woodland as much as I can. There's lots of it you can't get to because there's steep drop-offs which are crumbly and just not safe to go down. And The challenge I always find when I'm looking at any woodland stuff up here is there's no separation between the trees. It's not like you've got a clump of trees and a space, or a single tree and a space. They're all bunched in together. So you can't isolate a tree or a group of trees, and the individual trees themselves, while pine trees are, I guess, beautiful in their own right, they don't make for a very picturesque image just as a close-up of a tree. The sun's coming out. So I'm going to carry on. The next stretch of walking is the uphill bit, so I'm going to break that up a little bit because there's some more wooded areas along the way that I might want to go and have a look at. Yeah, the storms over the winter have definitely taken a toll. A lot of fallen trees, some quite big ones. Okay, I've almost finished the worst bit of the hike, which is the long uphill stretch. But that's the bit that goes through the woodland, so it's always worth doing. And up there behind me is the ridge where this trail joins the upper trail. And that's the ridge that I photographed in my last video, the pre-sunset image. I always love the view of the mountain from this angle. Really difficult to do it justice in a photo though, because there's a lack of sort of depth that you can get, and there's a lot of trees around. I've been wandering around up on the mountain now for a little over 2 hours. A lot of the cloud that was over the mountain has gone now. There's still quite a lot over that way, but over the mountain itself it's gone pretty much completely, which means I'm now getting quite warm. And I think what you have to be careful of is falling into the trap of trying too hard. You come out with all the camera gear, I'm making a video, and the pressure feels like it's there. You kind of feel like you have to find an image, and if you're not careful you end up taking images that are just no good, and then you get home and you realise they're just no good. And if you can recognise that while you're out, if you can recognise that you're trying too hard, then you just have to give yourself permission to fail. Just give yourself permission to go home with nothing if necessary. And quite often doing that is all you actually need to do to take that pressure off, and then you'll see something out of the corner of your eye and it'll make for a nice image. Or hopefully anyway. Yeah, I said take the pressure off and just see what catches the corner of your eye, and I've just spotted something off the beaten trail a little bit over there, just on one of the terraces. So I'm going to go and have a little look at it. So one of the things that we do have on the side of this mountain is these terraces, rock walls and terraces that were used for growing fruit trees. And there's some old abandoned fruit trees, and some of them are just absolutely wonderful with the shapes, they're all twisted. It's very difficult to get one on its own, to get any isolation, and the same is true of this one. But what we've actually got here is a really nice kind of split trunk going up. It's all warped and twisted, and somehow I think it might make for an interesting image. So I'm going to set up and shoot this, I think. Yeah, we'll give it a go. Okay, 35mm, 1/30th of a second, f11 ISO 64, focused on the tree. I actually think that looks quite nice. Even though the light's coming from right up high, it's creating some nice sort of highlights and shadows on the tree. It's creating highlights on the grass in the background. Yeah, I think that was definitely worth a shot. I've been up here for about 3.5 hours, and my original estimate of about 3.5 miles for that hike looks like it's turned out, I've just quickly checked it, looks like it's turned out that I've actually done a little over 5 miles. Basically that's partly because I've been just going off the beaten track all the time trying to find different things to shoot, and partly it's because of the YouTube effect where I have to keep wandering off and then coming back for the camera. But hopefully I've got one image that's worthwhile, and one image is a successful trip out. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button, give it a share on social media, leave me a comment, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much. And until the next video, keep safe and keep healthy. Bye.